Hello, knitters. Oh, there we go. Oh my goodness, bright. I have lots of lights on, so it's a little bright. I tried to bring my webcam controls up, so hopefully it's better than last time when I initially started it up. Um, hey, Celeste, you did your traveling already. I'm fixing, and you got to see Shetland. That is so cool. Hello, my golfer. Um, you're still working, but you're going to try to follow the podcast. It's not particularly linear, so following is not huge. Hello, Sarah Joe. Thank you for joining us. I'm Barbara Benson. I'm an independent knitwear designer, and we are here to chat about yarn knitting, the fiber industry, tools, and pretty much what people want to ask me about. We frequently go off topic, but that's okay because we're just here to have fun. And I'm so excited to see people coming in the chat. Please say hi when you pop in. Usually people talk about where they're from because it is so much fun to see that we are really from all around the world. Hello, Trish. Hello, Arnetta in DC. Hello, Debbie, rainy Wisconsin. Is it raining on the cheese? I know it's horrible, but you know what? I try to tease other states about their fairly innocuous things because really I live in Florida. I don't have a leg to stand on in the realm of jokes that can be made about a state. Florida, I think, is either what you might consider the top or the bottom of the barrel when it comes to things that can be said about stereotypical things that can be said about a state. Hello, Barbara from Bethesda. Hello, Wendy in Troy, Michigan. What part of Michigan is that? I'm not familiar with Troy. I'm not totally familiar with Michigan, but like top, bottom, left, right might give me information. Hello, Linda, who is in the middle of Michigan. Virginia and Florida knitter. Oh, that is a really cool name. Welcome. And you're in far away Bradenton. So, dude, there's I followed it on my Facebook. Apparently, there's a new hot pot place that opened up in Bradenton that I've been wanting to try. Hopefully, we'll be able to get there when I get back from my trip. Have you seen anything about that, Joan? Because I thought the hot pot place looked really cool. Cheesehead all the way. Excellent, yay, cheese. Hello, Darlene in Northern Virginia. Oh, Missouri is the Florida of the Midwest. I was unaware of that. Florida has things that only Florida can do. Just outside Detroit. I actually know where that is, Wendy. I actually, when I was very, very young, and by very, very young, I mean like in the 1 to 2 year old range, we lived in Grosse Pointe, Michigan for about a year, I think. My father was a physician, and when more than little, when he was doing his residencies, he did them in three separate places, and he said that he had a kid at each hospital because it was free. So my sister was born in Indianapolis. Indiana. I was born in Evansville, Indiana, and my brother was born in Detroit, Michigan, because my dad was in a hospital in Detroit. But I know we lived in Grosse Pointe, but I have zero memories of that. And actually, between Evansville and Detroit, we lived in Madison, Wisconsin, I believe, for a short period of time. Again, zero memories of those. I was baby, but I've been all over the place apparently. Hello, Mark, the bass player. Thank you for joining us again. Okay, so you don't know where the hot pot place is. Let me see if I can pull up my Facebook. It's let me see. I followed it. Okay, yeah, that didn't work well. Maybe I can do pages. No, it's not going to be helpful. Facebook is spectacularly unhelpful for like 80% of my needs, is what I have found. Um, so Wayne County, Michigan. Cool, Darlene. Hello, her dazzling creations in Houston, Texas. Very exciting place. Houston, I know I want to go to Houston eventually because I hear they have a really awesome food scene. And I'm all about food. I love food. That's one of the things I'm really excited about my trip is to go and get some really interesting food. Um, I was actually talking to my mother about it. Actually, so how there's those deep thought questions where it's like questions that you talk about among your friends that are just kind of like these theoretical questions, and one of them, and that are like nothing, like the whole what would you take to a desert island or something. And one of them that I saw was, if you could only have one cuisine for the rest of your life, what cuisine would you eat? And I found the cheater answer. And my answer would be Asian cuisine, because people say Asian food, but Asia is enormous, and that encompasses Indian food, Thai food, Vietnamese food, Cambodian food, Indonesian food, Chinese food, South Korean food, Japanese food. So I'm like, dude, I think Asian would give me the most options. I would be sad, very sad to never have a taco again, but I think that for my widest variety, I would have to go with that. Um, Hello, Kay in New Mexico. Hello, Deborah. You are not late. You are not late at all. You can join at any time. Okay. Did we discover math or invent it? You know what? That just broke my brain. Sarah Joe broke my brain. Um, I guess my answer to that would be the animals need math. I mean, math is a concept. I might go back to, I don't know if anyone reads Terry Pratchett, but the counting system of one, two, three, many. Anything over three is really irrelevant. It then becomes many. I don't know. That's something I'd have to think about, but I don't think it's right for this. Oh, Celeste, by the way, with the little hint you gave, if you have any love of mustard, bring some with you. Oh, you take mustard. Oh, so there's like no mustard in the South Pacific? I'll be okay without mustard. Mustard is not a thing that excites me particularly well. It's not one of my preferred condiments. Um, what is That's a whole nother question. What is my preferred condiment? Is there a condiment I could not live without? My husband is from Louisiana. So literally one of our wedding favors was a tiny bottle of Tabasco. But I don't know that this, I honestly, I love soy sauce. I put soy sauce in lots and lots of stuff. The answer to the math question is yes. Thank you, Trish. Okay, no Diet Coke is gonna be a significant problem for me. I'll have to find other sources of caffeine then. So, I hope that a lot of y'all already saw last week's video. That was because I teased it that I was gonna do it. I did the book look for the Knit Ovation, and I just wanted to mention, and hang on, I'm going to grab this. The giveaway ends tonight. You have until midnight tonight to enter the giveaway for this book. So if you haven't entered it, there's a link. If you haven't entered it, if you haven't watched the video, you haven't entered it, you might want to consider entering and seeing it, putting your name in the hat to get this amazing Stitch dictionary that I did the review on. There it is, Virginia and Florida knitter. Joan, you said your name was Joan. Yes, Hong Kong barbecue and hot pot. That is the one. I follow them on Facebook and they look pretty tasty. I don't know if you like hot pot. I need to get up to Bradenton. And I did. I made sure, because last time I was like, I couldn't find it in my what bookshelf. The word did not word for me. This is the first book. This is called Alternates, and it has 200 motifs in it. And this is the newer one, and this has 150. But this one has the different patterns in it and all kinds of stuff. So there's the two Andrea Rangel books. So you've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have a little under 5 hours to go and enter for this if you have not entered for it yet. Just wanted to mention that. Go over and grab it. Ooh, the new Interweave Knits magazine is out and it's a good issue. I will have to check that out. I think that magazines are kind of going the way of the dodo. I believe that we have lost a bunch of them, and I think we are going to lose a couple more in the future. And this is knitting related, so maybe I'll just talk about it since Deborah mentioned it. So in the knitting magazine world, the concept of a knitting magazine, it's gone through a lot of different iterations, and I think we are in a stage where the traditional glossy, get it on a newsstand, floppy paper, but comes out more frequently magazine is, I think that they are going away and they are being replaced by more journal style. They're like literary journals type style. They are higher quality printed. They're perfect bound instead of saddle stitched, instead of stapled. They have higher quality paper. They have higher quality photography, minimal advertising. And because they have higher quality of all these things and minimal advertising, they're at a much higher price point. You're going to pay as much for one as you would for an actual knitting book per se. But they're coffee table books. These are beautiful, beautiful books with beautiful projects in them that you can have sitting out like on your table. And it's more of a book than a magazine, but it's not hardbound and it comes out periodically. So it really isn't, it is kind of more like magazine concept, but journal or more book format. So I really think that over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see things like interweave knits almost completely disappear. And I don't know that. I mean, I'm not going to say that's great, but I mean, it's just progress. It's just how things evolve over time. Um, See, Deborah, yeah, 14.99 for a magazine, ridiculous price. And there is what I think a big part of the issue is, because these journals, these absolutely beautiful pieces, are in the 25 to $28 range, and they are beautiful pieces in and of themselves. Very, as I said, very little advertising in them. Whereas the interweave knits, it's $15, which is cheaper, but the magazine is like at least 50 to 60% advertisements. So it doesn't have the content in it. And it's not something, I mean, it's something that if you really want to knit something out of it, you wouldn't be upset to just rip the pages out and put it in a 3-ring binder, because you don't want to, because there's not enough in the magazine that you want to keep the magazine. They had really good articles for a while. I don't know. It's a debatable kind of thing. I'm not hating on interweave knits at all. They're wonderful people and I really like what they do, but it's just things are changing. You won't, Trish. Yeah, you do collect them. I have a few. There are a few that I have. I have one interweave knits somewhere that pretty much it had a amazing article in it on different ways to do thumb gussets in gloves, and I referenced it many, many times. And that essentially, like how I learned how to design thumbs in mitts. It is a wonderful article, and it's an old one. It's like from the 90s, and I still have it. So they are great. They can be great. And digital is a big thing too, Darlene. Crochet magazines, Linda. Yes, crochet and knitting really follow two very, very different paths. Sarah Joe, I feel like the glossy ones are way too expensive, and I'd rather pay a bit more for the book zine. And that's what I was saying. It's that price point. It's the glossy ones don't have enough in them. They aren't attractive enough to justify the price. Um, yes, Noro's magazine, Life in Longgrass magazine, Lane magazine, Amasuru is beautiful. Pom Pom, Taproot is an excellent one, but it's a pan um, craftual kind of situation. They do all kinds of really interesting stuff. I really like Taproot. They're beautiful, beautiful ones. You had Making for a while, but I think Making has gone entirely digital, and they now have an app. And again, we're going to see that evolution to just it going to being an app. Um, okay. Have a hard time buying a paper publication when you use everything digitally. That's another thing. And I think that's one of the reasons that Making went to entirely digital magazine. Trish, you have the original issue. That is really cool. That's like having Batman #1 in like fiber nerd world. You said quilting magazines. Somebody said quilting magazines are going out too. Your favorite issues from 2007. Ann Bud's Better Than Booty's Baby Socks. That is it. Sounds like an awesome one. Let me see. Hang on. I'll be right back. Okay. This is my stuff. This is where I keep magazines. The few magazines that I have kept over time. Let me see. I think I would have to look through each one. Oh, no, here it is. And it is so beat up. And actually, oh, that's funny. Oh, my goodness. God, that weighs a lot. So this one's all beat up. This is winter 2003. And as you can see, I put little marks on the side. See the little stars? So that I could remember that this is, and look how beat up it is. I have used this one so much because of Beyond. It's a Pam Allen. Let's look. It's on page 90. This whole magazine has a lot of stuff about gloves and mitts and here it is. It is by Pam Allen and it is thumb gussets. Beyond the Basics thumb gussets. And if you can see, there's a whole series of different kinds of thumb gussets and how to, like, ones that just come out the side, ones that you add in stitches, ones that you borrow stitches for the palm, ones that you're going to shift it slightly around on the palm. And it's all about how to do that. And this has been one of the most useful articles for me, teaching me to understand. And it's got a bunch of different. So for gloves, this has been a great resource. 4 nifty thumb gussets. I don't know what that sticky thing is, but so that's that. And it is, so these magazines, I mean, I'm not saying the magazines aren't worthwhile. They really are, but it's a different day and age, and I think it is what it is. How much was it back then? Let's see. Piecework is a wonderful book. So this is winter 2003. And just for reference, I learned how to knit in 2010. So this magazine, I had to go and find this magazine because I wanted the information. In 2003, it was $5.99 US and 8.50 Canadian. So $6. It was $6. Okay, fancy ones like yeah, $6. But I mean, everything's more expensive. They have to pay the people, they have to pay the models, they have to pay the photographers, they have to pay for the paper, they have to pay for the printing. They got to, it's everything is more expensive. My hair is not doing hair stuff today. My hair is being a little extra today. Okay, so that was interesting and not something I expected to talk about at all. What other magazines do I have here? Oh, here's Taproot. This is Taproot. And Taproot is really cool because it has all kinds of different things in it. And again, it's one of these absolutely, I mean, it's going to have knitting, but it's going to have embroidery, and it's going to have recipes and gardening and who knows what, and art stuff. So this is a good one. I really enjoy that one. I have a bunch of those. I don't know. I have a bunch of everything. Okay, can you guys see my window? I moved my mannequin so you guys can see my window now. So I should have pulled the curtain. I have this curtain here, and this is my stack of knitting bags, and there's my Cricut loom, and there's my hot mess. Well, let's just put her back. I try to block the hot mess. You can see my ever so lovely black garbage bag treatment for my so this is, I'm in my bedroom. My office is half of my bedroom, and right here there are two sliders because we're in Florida, glass sliders. And 2-3 weeks ago, the lawn guys were lawning, on those big driving things, and picked up a rock and threw it at the glass door, and it shattered. One whole panel of the slider completely shattered. So now we have garbage bags taped over the opening. And yeah, we're working on getting prices to get it fixed. And luckily, this is the only exterior windows that we have rolled down hurricane shutters on. So what we've done is we've rolled the hurricane shutter down and it's completely sealed off. It's a hurricane shutter, but that also means it's really dark in here because we can't open it up, and that was a lot of the light source for the room, especially in the morning. So typically I would get up at like 7 something, but without the sun coming in, my husband gets up to go to work and I don't wake up. And so I've been oversleeping a lot because it's so dark in here because of the thing. And let me tell you, do you know, hello, hola, Maritza? Hola, Maritza. I think that's how you pronounce it. I hope. Yeah, do you guys have any idea how much those things cost? Just the glass? Like just the glass. It's like $1,000. It's ridiculous. Deborah, yeah, it is very difficult to find someone to do any sort of work because there's a whole bunch of stuff to be done and not so many workers. So we're working on it. We're working on getting prices. Okay, do we have any knitting or fiber related questions from anyone? No, Darlene, it is not counting installation. We're really not happy about it because it needs to be hurricane impact glass, and it's yeah. Is what it is though. Roll with it, baby. You just got to roll with it. I'm just glad we had the hurricane shutters so we don't have to worry about pests and things like that. Oh, you replace your sliders with French doors. That's cool. Sarah Jo, what are people's opinions on mystery knit-alongs? I think the idea is fun, but I don't know about knitting something without knowing what it'll be. I am mystified by mystery knit-alongs. I cannot conceive of starting to knit something not knowing what it's going to be. I cannot imagine trying to pick out yarn for something, not knowing what it's going to be. Um, I think that mystery knit-alongs appeal to a specific type of knitter who is adventurous and really is just interested in and the surprises along the way. It's the same kind of people I think that like putting together puzzles. I think like if you like putting together a puzzle, you might like a mystery knit along. There are people who like to have I think a lot of people like mystery knit alongs because you for the same reason they like knit-alongs, you kind of have like deadlines. People who need like those kind of things in their lives, like deadlines and things like that, because you need to get something done before the next clue. It will help you with your progress. And really, it's people who really, really like a particular designer's work, and that you're confident that regardless of what um regardless of what that designer is going to to have, you know you're going to like it because you know like that designer's work. So it's having a designer that you trust enough that you know you're going to like it is a big part of it, and being the kind of knitter who likes surprises, I guess. Um, okay, so you don't know about that. Okay, so maybe that was see here. Arnetta loves them. Darlene, Darlene and Trish hate them. I really think it's a love-hate kind of thing. Either like, "Yes, sign me up," or, "Oh my god, you could not pay me." There's not a lot in between. Um, see Celeste, she does ones from designers she knows almost 100%. Um, and Trish says she's been disappointed too often in not liking the design. It's good to be picky. Okay, and so Jenna, you like a KAL but not a MK. You like the knit along but not the mystery knit along. And I think it's the mystery that is really the dividing thing because I could not from my point of view do a mystery knit along. It is just not something I don't want to invest all that time in something that I may or may not enjoy knitting, may or may not like knitting. So yes, I 100% there. Okay, this is sorry, my phone was buzzing if that was picking it up. Okay, Deborah is telling LPGA to keep knitting, it'll unroll. I'm glad you got that, Deborah, because I really don't know. Does it have any? Okay. So my question would be LPGA, are you going cuff down or toe up? And if it's cuffed down, did you start with ribbing? Would be my questions of those two things. Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for joining us. Our current question is mystery knit-alongs, love them or hate them. What are your thoughts on mystery knit-alongs, Christine? Christine is an amazing designer. She is one of my designer oh my God, words are not wording today. Colleague. Colleague is the word I was looking for. I'm like, it's a word. It starts with a C. Christine is one of my design colleagues, and I'm wondering maybe she's done a mystery knit along before. So, okay, my Mark the bass player, too busy making things for my grandkids to do an MKL. Totally understand that. There are a lot of people who want projects figured out for them. So if you already know what you want to do, they're not necessarily your best things. Her Dazzling Creations likes the surprise element. So again, it's a mixed bag. Some people love them, some people don't. And it's now I have done one mystery knit along and it went very, very well. It really did very well. Was one of my best selling patterns on launch. And um, I think it came out fine, but it's very difficult for me to design a mystery knit along because of the parameters of a mystery knit along. I have one that if you've watched our lives long enough, I think we did lives, I've talked about it. I had one that I was working on and I got halfway through it and I got stuck. I got stuck. I couldn't figure out where to go. And it is no more. It is my problem. I'm a monogamous knitter. I knit on one project at a time because if I put a project down, it will not be picked back up. It won't come. It is gone. Once I stop, we're done. So it's in a bag, and I might want to revisit it because there's elements of it that I could repurpose into a full design, but it's never going to actually be a mystery knit along. It's just not, because that is not the way my brain works. Okay. Yes, Stephen West's mystery knit-alongs are known for being a little bit on the catty side wampus, wacky wackadoodles. Captain of the Sheep, that is a great name. You did a mystery knit-along. Small thing, small amount of yarn, not so much time investment. And that is definitely something. You've never tried one left. Christine is a big no for the mystery knit-alongs. Okay. Sarah Joe, I was talking with some people on TikTok about doing a late to the party knit along with the current Stephen West shawl because it's pretty, but all out now. There are a lot of people who wait to see what it looks like and then decide if they're going to knit it. They just take the mystery part out of it. And then it's just a regular little knit along. And if you like it and you like the finished piece, then you're good to go. Okay. So okay, you're doing cuff down and you did one by one ribbing and it's still rolling. You might not have done enough one by one ribbing. Because if there's ribbing, it really shouldn't curl. But someone else mentioned that it'll be okay. I don't know. When you knit something tight, which is what you tend to do, you knit at a very tight gauge, um, with um, with socks, they can tend to curl. Stockinette can tend to curl. So if it's mostly stockinette, you said it was the West Yorkshire Spinner, which I believe is a 100% wool. It's a very grabby wool. If you are more accustomed to superwash, you can knit superwash at a tighter gauge without it curling because of its superwash tendencies. So you might need more ribbing on a 100% wool sock than you would on a superwash sock. Uh, so, oh, and Celeste is correct. Sarah Joe asked what pattern of mine was, and it's in the library with the candlestick. Let me see if I can find a link to that. I'm going to go to my website. Here we go. Yeah, it's called In the Library with the Candlestick. That may or may not come through, Sarah. The way that YouTube works is the way that these YouTube live works is it will restrict other people from posting links. It may or may not show up if you try to post a link. It's just what YouTube does. There's no way for me to really do it. I don't know if I can find, because sometimes what I'll do is say, yeah, a lot of times it's just, nope, you're not, sorry, you can't post things. And it's because there are people on YouTube who will come in and post really, really appropriate links on just random lives. So it's just one of their restrictions. Okay. And I named it. I named it In the Library with the Candlestick. I named it with the intention of being able to do more mystery knit-alongs. So I could do like in the study with a revolver and in the kitchen with the rope or the cleaver or whatever. I mean, that's why I named it In the Library, because it's a clue theme and you get clues. And I'm not ruling out the idea of ever doing a mystery knit-along again. It's just the design of it is difficult for me because I don't tend to design that way, but maybe I will, because now that if you've watched last week's video, um, I'm seeing about shaking some things up. So, okay. Dun, 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 dun. Jenna waits till the clues are out. Mystery yarn. I don't know if I could buy a box of mystery yarn, Barbara. Gary Moore, the one thing about Stephen West's mystery knit-alongs is the extensive video learning essential. Yes, he puts a lot of time and effort into the tutorials and everything, and I think that is a very, very cool thing. Maybe it's something I could think about, because as I mentioned in the last video, I'm thinking about returning to some more elaborate and complex things, because that is really where my knitting started, and I don't know. Go back and watch that video. I'm not going to rehash it. It's just making the balance between what I want to design and what is the right choice, for me to design based on the market research and what sells and what doesn't sell. And honestly, I need to be doing mystery knit-alongs if I'm looking at what sells, because people really like them. So I should do that. It's curling upward on the needle. That is a really strange thing. I'm afraid I can't, LPGA, I'm afraid that this is something that I would need to, like, physically look at it and get an idea of what's going on. I'm sorry. You like my mystery knit-along name. Thank you, Trish. Oh, Christine is asking about Shetland. Very exciting. So Sarah Jo, so the naming scheme, I actually, if you look at the pictures on Ravelry, I actually went to, I think I went to Goodwill and I found a Clue game and I took little pictures, and I'm sure I have it around here someplace so that I can have the little thing and the little, so I could take the pictures, and that was the teaser photo. Again, I thought this through with the idea of, hey, I'm going to do mystery knit-alongs, and then it was so painful to decide that I never did it again. Clue is the best. Clue and the movie Clue. The movie Clue is one of my favorite movies of all times. And I love Madeline Kahn. And when she's going, the flames, it's just, I, I love that movie so much. And then I am your singing telegram. It, it's just 1 + 2 + 1 + 1. One of my favorite, and love. I love that movie. We'll watch it again and again and again. Still think it's a travesty that it didn't do well in the theaters, because of the 3 different ending concepts really confused people. That was way ahead of its time. If you had a Marvel movie come out that had 3 different endings, people would be flocking to the theaters. But I really love that movie. Miss Scarlet is great. Miss Peacock was fantastic. I love them all. Darlene, have I ever attended any Fiber Fests? So I have attended quite a few Fiber Fests, festivals. I have gone to Rhinebeck 3 times. I think I've been to Rhinebeck 3 times, 3 or 4 times. I have been to SAF, which is the South Atlantic Fiber Festival, which is in Asheville, North Carolina. Absolutely lovely. And I have been to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool twice. Also a very, very lovely, twice or once? I think twice. So those are the fiber festivals I have been to. I think they are absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy them. I am parsimonious. I am very good about not spending money. So when I go to these things, I do not tend to overspend, just because that's the way I am. Uh, and so if you are a liberal spender, then a con could be you got no money, because if you are the kind of person who spends money, a fiber festival will absolutely suck you dry because there are amazing, beautiful things. I think one of the major pros is that you get to support a lot of indie businesses of various kinds of fiber elements. You The community and getting to be around so many other amazing people who love the fiber arts and the fiber community is fantastic. Um, some of the cons to fiber festivals is depending on the festival. They are frequently at like state fairgrounds and like they're they have accessibility issues because they're just like out in fields and tents, and they could like Maryland sheep and wool rains a lot and it gets muddy, and so they aren't as accessible as like a Stitches would be. Not that Stitches exist anymore, but the outdoor festivals that are in these more rustic environments are not accessible to everyone. And also, there's a whole lot of people there, and if you have any issues with compromised immune systems, or if you have issues with large crowds, you there it can be really intimidating because they're large crowds. And so it's kind of like going to an amusement park in that way, that there's a lot of people everywhere. And sometimes that gets me twitchy. I haven't gone to one since COVID has, gone out, so I don't know. I don't know how I would react to large crowds right now, but I'm gonna find out because I'm gonna be in a boat with like 900 other people. So that's gonna be a super fun time. But I love fiber festivals, and they are. If you are in a financial position to go to one, and it is a wonderful, especially so the ones that I've always when I've gone to them, what I have done is I've gone with a group of knitting friends, and we've gotten like an Airbnb situation, and so we split the cost and went as a group, and that was a lot of fun. Okay. Oh, hello, Elizabeth in New Zealand. I'm so excited. I'm excited when people from across the world. I am not going to New Zealand, but I'm going to be substantially closer to New Zealand next month. I will be in Australia. I'm very excited. I'm going to be on that side of the world. Brown paper mystery bag at the yarn store in college. That sounds like fun. It's brain painful. Sarah Jo says, "Don't design things that are painful for you. Take care of yourself." It's brain painful. It's a challenge it's a challenge. Jenna, yes, I'm still planning on doing another second sock cowl. I got severely sidetracked about mid-September when I went to Minnesota, and then I came back, and I had been putting off a lot of stuff about planning my trip, all the stuff I need to do for my trip. And I kept putting it all off and putting it off, like I'll deal with that when I get back from Minnesota. I could only think about one trip at a time. So pretty much this entire month has been me trying to figure out what I need to do for my trip, getting visas, getting some passport photos that I need for certain accessibility, like I have a passport, but I needed passport photos for certain visas. And I've been buying stuff online. Like I got this, I had to get an RFID wallet. There are weird things that you have to buy, and clothes and shoot, and getting that. So a lot of things have kind of taken a back burner. And the second sock cow, but there will be a third second sock cow. Debbie, I met you at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. Woo, woo. That, Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, I find is a nice middle ground, is a sweet spot. It does not have the chaos like that a Rhinebeck does. Wisconsin Sheep and Wool is a really nice festival. There we go. Yay. Okay. Having a chat about Shetland in the chat. That is amazing. Okay. Okay, Mark, the bass player, you live just up the road from Rhinebeck, haven't made it yet. Next year is our plan, though. You should go. Rhinebeck is really, really cool. So Trish, you're saying that contrary to popular opinion, Maryland is the biggest. Well, it's not really an opinion. One is bigger than the other. That seems to be fact, and I don't know which one's bigger. You're telling me that Maryland sheep and wool is bigger? I believe you. Maryland sheep and wool is bigger. I have not been to Maryland sheep and wool. And the primary reason that I've been to Rhinebeck the number of times I have is because they invited me there to sign my books when they came out. So that's two of the times I went was for book signings. So I worked them. So also limits the amount of money I spend. Very cool. I would like to get to Maryland Sheep and Wool one of these days. There's one coming up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That'd be very cool. Working at the fair makes it hard to get your lunch. 100%. It makes it hard to get your lunch, but sometimes very nice people get you food. So that is wonderful. Yes. One time I went to Rhinebeck. We got there and I remember taking pictures of the beautiful flowers. And we are talking beautiful flowers, like summer style flowers in full bloom, cosmos and everything, right? And the next day it was snowing. I was like, you and your crazy northern weather, get away from me. So Celeste, I think did I mention this last. I don't know. I'm sorry if you guys are getting this twice. I don't remember everything I talked about in the last live. So Celeste, what I was trying to think of, I am going on something called the South Pacific Sojourn, which it's a cruise that is going to start in Bangkok and end in Sydney. And I'm hitting Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. What a five? Thailand, Malaysia, in Indonesia, Singapore, and Australia. So it's through that whole area. So I think technically that's the South Pacific, but maybe not far enough south. I don't know. Sydney's really south. It's pretty south, but I'm excited. Um, okay, so I particularly, yes. So the thing that happened at Rhinebeck this year, and I don't really want to get into it um, because I was not in any way, shape, or form a part of it. Rhinebeck is so big that auxiliary events have popped up around it. There's the one, and I can't remember, it's Woolen Folk, and then there's Indie Untangled. And what these businesses do is they put on their own separate event. Typically, the one time I went to Indie Untangled, it was in like a conference. It was like in a hotel that had a conference center, and they put on like completely independent events. Typically, they're like on Friday night or Saturday night, and they are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with New York Sheep and Wool. They're not, and like a lot of times they're not even in Rhinebeck. I think they're in Red Hook. Some of the time they're in the little towns that are around. But what it is people taking advantage of the huge amount of people who come to Rhinebeck for New York Sheep and Wool, and they put on other events at the same time. It'd be kind of like if you were putting on a music festival and then they put on a couple other smaller music festivals around it just for people to have something to do on times when that music festival isn't open. So the one that kind of hit the fan this year was, I believe, Woolen Folk, and it is in no way, shape, or form associated with New York Sheep and Wool. And New York Sheep and Wool is the name of the actual fiber festival that takes place in Rhinebeck, New York. Everyone calls it Rhinebeck, but that's not the name of the festival. It's New York Sheep and Wool. It just takes place in Rhinebeck. People talk about their Rhinebeck sweaters and going to Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is the name of the city or the town or whatever, the county, is where New York Sheep and Wool takes place. But the only thing I wanted to make clear is whatever you've heard about the total botched job that happened at this Woolen Folk, it doesn't have anything to do with the Fiber Festival itself. It was a completely different thing. Okay. Maryland is closer to me. Since you're a northern physician, jump on the Beltway. I think that the Maryland sheep and wool is typically in, like, the spring, make, like, June, July, June. Oh, yes, and that's what I was Mark the bass player. I have a mobility issue. Rhinebeck is tough on wheelchairs. I can 100% see that, and that's one of the things I was saying is a drawback. It is one of the drawbacks. Now, as festivals go, have you been to the New York Sheep and Wool location? The barns you would definitely have issues with, but there is pavement. There's a certain amount of pavement, and but it's so crowded. I wish there was a better way. I wish people would figure it out. But Sunday is usually slower than Saturday, if that helps at all. Yeah, the ship will have all the stuff. That's what I'm counting on. Trisha's most expensive trip to Maryland was thousands of dollars. Oh no. That is And does Maryland have any My understanding is Maryland is like all just out in the field, but I've not been there. I agree. I 100% agree, Trish. A pity ADA doesn't fix everything. Or that was Christine said that. It's sometimes it's just a band-aid and it's very frustrating. SAF is really nice. SAF is in Asheville, and it is a much smaller festival. Not even as big as Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. I mean, but it's been a while. It might be, but SAF is a really nice, laid-back one, and Asheville's beautiful. It's a neat city, so that is definitely one that would be worth going to. Okay, Trish is saying Maryland is in May. Maryland Sheep and Wool is in May. First full weekend of May. There we go. There we go. You guys did it back to back. VFL Knitter. There we go. Everybody knows where they are. Okay, so Maryland Sheep and Wool does have some buildings and some outside. Most of it's indoors on paved surfaces. So there we go. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I can make it to Maryland Sheep and Wool next year. Something I've always wanted to do. Maybe we can group together. That would be fun. But yeah, I love going to them. I'm always inspired when I go to them by the amazing artistry that I see and the creativity that I see, and being around other knitters is always inspiring. Seeing what pumps them up pumps me up. And sometimes I really need that because it's easy to get jaded and get stuck in your own head, which is one of the things I'm wrestling with, is being stuck in my own head here in what I've been doing recently. You've only missed once since 2005. You go, Trish. Okay. Wheel Trish just wrote, there are some parts in grassy areas, but a lot of it is accessible. And I read there are some parts in sassy areas. I'm like, I want to be in the sassy area. I want to be in the designated sassy area of the festival. This is for the sassy people. And this is for the non-sassy people. And I'd be in the bitch please part. That was a bad word. I hope YouTube doesn't kill me. So yes, I want to be in the sassy part. Designated sass. So that was one question on Fiber Arts. I do want to say, if you are enjoying our chat, I'd appreciate it if you would click the thumbs up button, just to let YouTube know that this is something that they might want to suggest to somebody else at some point in time. And maybe they'll push out the actual announcements when the announcements need to go out, because half the time I think people don't get their notifications. It's super, super fun. Oh, hello, Ruth. Thank you, Ruthie. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Do we have more knitting questions, yarn questions? Hopefully my trip will help me get out of your head and feel more inspired. Honestly, I am debating whether or not I'm even going to take any knitting. I think I need to get completely out of knitting space for a little bit. But, I don't know if I can be on a 16-hour flight without knitting. We'll see. But then there's the worry that I'm on international flights that my needles might get confiscated. So I don't know. Hit or miss. I don't know. You always see the announcements? That is fantastic, Trish. And it could be that you always see the announcements because you always click on the announcements because sometimes it's like, oh, you don't want this anymore? I will not give that to you anymore. Okay, Ruthie, are there any types of yarn you would not recommend for lace? Are we talking about doing lace weight or just lace knitting? So, okay, I would not recommend heavily variegated yarns for the vast majority of lace. You got to be really careful when you are combining lace and variegation. I really wouldn't recommend most yarns that have any amount of visual noise. So, something that is like nubbly, something has like noops in it and things like that can get in the way. Something that has a lot of texture to it. So with lace, the more complex the lace is, the less complex the yarn can be. Does that make any sense? So if you have a very simple lace, you can get away with some texture, you can get away with some variegation, you can get away with fun stuff. But if it's a really simple like a mesh or something, if you're getting into an intricate lace, then you need to have a yarn that has less visual texture to it, that's smoother, that will allow your lace to shine through and not get obfuscated by glitz and sparkles and fuzz and things like that. That said, mohair, you can get away with a certain level of mohair because it's so fine. Um, but my personal favorite yarn for knitting, well, fiber content wise, I really like things that have a little bit of silk in them. Silk really holds a block very nicely. A wool silk blend, a 100% silk can do beautiful lace, but it's going to be very, very drapey. I like a wool silk blend for a lot of laces because it will, the lace will hold well in the silk, but the wool gives it some body. That's just my own personal favorite. Um, okay. Okay, Wheel Trish. Oh man, that makes me sad that knitting is your job if you have to get away from it. So knitting is my job. And this is one thing that I've actually considered making a video about, but it's not long enough. People say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that is the entire idea. It gets into a lot of the whole monetizing your passions because you can't just do your passion because it's your passion. Because in our society, for something to have like just for something to be worth doing, you have to be making money with it. Is a trap I think a lot of people fall into. And I really have learned that instead of do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, what I would like to tell people is if you turn your hobby into a job, you don't have a hobby anymore. Your hobby's gone because now it's your job. It's your work. And you will come frequently to regard it. I mean, it is. It's your work. So I cannot just see a cute pattern on Ravelry and go, oh, I want to knit that and knit it, because every minute I would spend knitting it, I would feel guilty that I wasn't working on something for work. Now, this is just me. I'm sure that there are other designers that don't have any problem with that. It's just what has been my experience. So yeah, it is my job. I love it. I mean, I love knitting, and I think and I hope that that comes through in all of my videos, that I do love knitting and I'm very passionate about knitting, but it does at times it's very much a job. It's work. It's intriguing and interesting and compelling work, but it is work. It's what I do. And that's okay. And nothing makes me happier than when I see pictures that other people have posted that they have knit something from one of my patterns, that they have gotten joy from one of my patterns, that they have trusted me enough with their time, because we all have limited knitting time. They're like, okay, Barbara, I will give you the trust. You give me the pattern, and I will trust you with this time that I will end up with something I've enjoyed and enjoy having. And that makes me happy. Seeing pictures, hearing that people enjoy the patterns is what makes it worthwhile. Okay. In the last 2 years, no problems with knitting needles, but twice had problems with leaving Indonesia with small folding scissors. That is good because I will be in Indonesia for a substantial chunk of time, but on a boat. So there's no airplane situations. Mark the bass player, I have a question. Is there a book or anything that gives more than rudimentary information on? Oh, I'm afraid I am going to be zero help with that, Mark the bass player. I do not know anything about designing clothing, much less children's clothing. Craft Yarn Council, maybe? The thing is with a lot of that stuff, okay, the Craft Yarn Council has standard body measurements and sizing, but it's just telling you how to measure someone. So that's not going to help. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Here we go. There's the baby size chart. That is the only information. So you can find these sorts, and here is, so I'm just gonna, here's this from the Craft Yarn Council is probably going to be the easiest free resource that you're going to be able to find. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Let's try that again. There we go. Those might give you some place to start. The thing is yeah, that's going to be my best bet. Okay, so good. I answered Ruthie's question. Hey, Barbara, have I ever been to the DFW Fiber Fest? No, Prissy, I have not. I have not made it to the Dallas one. Again, Rhinebeck, Saf, and Wisconsin are the only ones I've been to. Oh, there you go. Christine said Craft Yarn Council as well. Native Knitter allows herself 1 month a year where she knits other designers' patterns. That is an interesting idea, and I might keep it in my brain. Yeah, sometimes you just need a little time off. Okay, so here's the problem, Trish. Trish said make something for yourself that you did not design. Here's the issue with that, Trish. I don't wear knitwear. I don't. I went to a wedding and I wore a shawl in the last 5 years. That's it. I don't wear knitwear. I am a 100% process knitter. I don't care about having the thing. I just like the process of knitting and the technique and everything. So there's no point in me just making something to make it. I mean, so you guys remember last year, I was like, I'm going to start making garments. I made the one garment. I went through the entire process. I enjoyed knitting it. That garment has been worn once. Never again. And that's because it doesn't fit. Because I got bigger than it. But I don't wear knitwear. So it's kind of pointless to make it, but that is a good idea, Trish. Karen, does anyone else suffer from knitter's guilt? Like I should not be indulging in my hobby because XYZ. I think that, yeah, I mean, I think most people do, that there's something else. I know that I've definitely talked to knitters who enjoy knitting, but feel guilty if they're not knitting for charity, that they will only knit for charity because they think that they shouldn't knit for themselves, to which I say, That's my official stance on that. I think that if you want to knit stuff for yourself, you should knit stuff for yourself. I think that no is a complete sentence that needs absolutely no justification if anyone asks you to knit for them. Um, I think that um, one of the things I've always said is, as far as people asking you to knit for them, that knitting is like sex. If I love you, it's free and I'm happy to do it. And if I don't, you cannot pay me enough. So it's I do not, I mean, don't, you shouldn't, I hope you would not feel guilty. I understand if you feel guilty. Um, if you need someone to give you permission to not feel guilty, I give you that permission, but it's not necessarily my permission to give. I hope that you can give yourself permission to not feel guilty because it's time for you and you deserve time for you. And if what you want to be doing is knitting, then do it. I mean, there are people who sit and play video games all day, and you know what? That's me. I love playing video games when I have the time. You do what brings you joy. We have a very short window in this life to do what brings us joy, and I firmly believe in doing it. So, and I try. I try. I made and sold stained glass for several years. I've not made stained glass since I quit doing shows. It ended up creating so much stress, especially before Christmas. Jenna, exactly the same thing. You didn't have a hobby anymore. And that's frustrating. Okay. Wait a minute. What? Okay, I'm trying to catch up. Veronica, thank you for thinking of us knitting your patterns. I do. I do. I think of everybody. I mean, it's why I do it. I don't write these patterns just so they exist in the world. I write them with the hope that someone else might um, find joy in it, and they're spending their time on it, and it's valuable, just like we were talking about. I want it to bring joy to people and the knitting process, and having something that they love. Yep, Ruthie K is on the knitting guild. Bring kitty snips. Oh, I had an octopus snip. Australian Airlines are mean to knitting needles, and I will be flying out of Sydney. Oh, thank you, Christine. ASTM. I knew that there was one that you could pay for, but the Craft Yarn Council were the only ones I could think of. Okay, Christine, I knit other people's patterns on Sunday, but not my own sample work. Trish, Hazard of Living in Florida. I'm gonna guess Hazard of Living in Florida is going to be the reference to not wearing knitwear. I didn't wear knitwear in Atlanta either. I don't wear knitwear. Fingerless mitts. Every once in a while, I wear fingerless mitts if it got too cold. That was absolutely. See, okay, Sarah Joe, that is absolutely insane to me. I have to want the thing or want to give it to someone. And that means you are more of a project knitter, and that is just fine. It's a spectrum of what people like and why they do things. I like knitting swatches. A shelf critter. Oh no, Celeste, you cannot make me make 3D objects. Knitting Celeste suggested a shelf critter. No, I am not knitting a 3D object or a stuffed animal or anything like that. I personally, if I am going to make anything amigurumi like, it's going to be crochet because I just think it's it's an easier thing to do. I, I'm not, that's just not, but it's a good suggestion for someone who is less than me. No, it's okay. Okay, knit for charity, most Arnetta, mostly hats for the homeless. And if that's what you enjoy, that is definitely, if you just knit because you want to knit and then you just give them for charity, hey, you don't have 6 boxes of knitwear that you don't wear in your closet like I do. I was not in any way saying it's a bad thing to knit for charity. I'm just saying that I've always felt sad when someone told me they felt like they had to knit for charity to justify their knitting, and that is what I was sad about. But I know that there are a lot of people who get joy out of the knitting for charity, and that's fantastic as well. You had a gynecologist asked to knit for her? Nope. That's gonna be a no. No. Kelly Poole. I need to make a short of the knitting is like sex. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I will. Let me write that down because, and I'm not the first person to say that. I am not the originator on that. But I can totally do that. Actually, I might be able to just pull it out of this. I think there's a way to crop it, but then it's just stressful. Sarah Jo, your Nana has found much joy in wearing green without a cat. And it was that beautiful yellow color, if I remember correctly. It is, and that's fancy in that is what makes me happy. I'm glad you enjoyed knitting it, and I am glad the recipient enjoys wearing it, and that makes me happy, happy, happy. Veronica, I find your video presentation and knit designs very inclusive, so kudos to you. Well, thank you very much. Wheel Trish, is that like my son who is in an a cappella singing group but can't stand to listen to a cappella music? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. We're all friends here. Do you know how many YouTube videos I watch on knitting? Like 0. I don't. I mean, there are times when I will specifically go look for specific things in knitting YouTubes. Um, Most often I put people on chipmunk speed because I have 0 patience. I don't watch knitting vlogs and things like that. And it's just not, I get too distracted because YouTube suggests like 6 other things. And it's like, would you like to be listening to this person talk about knitting or watching this K-pop group perform? And I'm like, K-pop piece. It's just what YouTube is. I don't understand how anybody can stay on target with YouTube. I can't, I cannot. See, and giving stuff away is fantastic. Mark, the bass player, I made the grandkids amigurumi stuffies. It was fun. Yes, making stuffed animals can be absolutely a blast for people who enjoy that sort of thing. I put them in the same category as socks. It's not something I enjoy doing. Oh, the baby's whoopee. Excellent. You would buy that t-shirt. I don't know if I can put that on a t-shirt, Elizabeth. Um, you keep your socks. Yes, chipmunk speed. Yes, I put things. I go to the 2. It's like because I just can't. If I want the information, I want the information. I appreciate the information. I cannot listen to most people's speech speed is too slow for my listening speed because I just very short attention span. You watched a 7-hour and 28-minute. No. Mm-mm. Nope. You are a better person than me, Sarah Jo. There is no way. No way I could watch a video that long. No. I would. No. My computer would end up being chucked out the window. I could not do that at all. Okay. So we're a little over an hour and 15 minutes in. Okay. And it was on Resident Evil. That is hilarious. You know what? I have done. Okay, I am not saying that I cannot watch YouTube for 7 hours and 28 minutes. I'm just saying that it's going to be broken up into 15-minute chunks. I couldn't watch one video that was that long, but I could definitely watch it in chunks. Ooh, crocheting around New Zealand. Hello. 1 p.m. Friday afternoon. Hello tomorrow. There's another New Zealander, or at least there was another New Zealander in here. I'm so glad you joined us. Okay, so we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes. Does anybody have any other questions? I think we talked about at least some fiber festivals and knitting and stuff. As I have mentioned, so this is going to probably be the last video that I get up until December. I'll see if I can put some things up in like shorts from my trip, but that is entirely going to depend on internet connectivity and how much I have, and I don't know how that's gonna work. Um, you watch your videos while I knit. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited. I got a towel. I had to I ordered there's so many weird things that you don't realize that you need when you're starting to think about what you're gonna pack. I had to order a, tattoo cover sleeve for my leg because I have a fairly decent sized leg tattoo and I wear dresses a lot. But there are going to be places, I think it's Malaysia? There's several areas that are predominantly, Muslim that we're going to of Islamic faith, and I don't want to be disrespectful, and I'm concerned that my visible leg tattoo might be offensive to the people who live there. And I don't want to do anything. I don't want to upset people. So my mother and I actually have matching tattoos. So we talked about it. And my mom ordered, and I ordered a thing. And so it's a sleeve that I can put over my leg to cover that tattoo up, so that it's not seen as disrespectful to anyone. So that's something I had to order. I ordered this. This is my um, it's a t-shirt towel, which is really good for drying your hair if you have curly hair and prevents hair breakage. And it's just all these weird little things that I got to think about packing. It's kind of batty. Um, See, I didn't want to do stockings or leggings because it's also going to be freaking hot where I'm going. One of the reasons why I wear a lot of skirts and stuff is because I overheat very easily. And wearing like full stockings or leggings is going to cause problems. Well, it's going to cause two separate problems. The problem one, overheating. Problem B, stockings and leggings in when I will be in situations where the restroom facilities are maybe not going to be what I'm used to. Struggling with stockings or leggings is not going to be something I want to do. I and I'm short. I am short and wide, and every single pair of stockings or leggings I have tried on, if it fits me around the waist, the crotch is someplace around the knee. And it's no, I can't stand those. So I just got this little sleeve that goes from my knee to my ankle that'll just cover up the tattoo. Be sure to get a 220-volt adapter. Okay, I will look into that, but I looked at the cruise thing and they said that they have the whole cruise ship is 110. But I'll see that. You Jenna HKH, good tattoo cover up makeup. The the amount of makeup I wear is 0. I do you know what? I'm glad you said that, though. I need to get a lot of sunscreen. They make these UV cover up sleeves that are specifically designed to cover up tattoos, so I'm just gonna get that. Thigh highs cut off the side. Ruthie, thank you for all of the problem solving. I really appreciate it. You have a lot of ideas. Yeah, I feel like you've thought about this before, really. I really feel like you do, which is fantastic. Um, but yeah, oh, I gotta get the you I go through this. No, I don't need your eyeshadow palette, Sarah Jo. I grew up, I mentioned, dude, I even mentioned earlier in this conversation, my father was a doctor. My father was a dermatologist. So uh I grew up with copious amounts of sunscreen and highly restricted access to makeup, which, you know, in one sense could have turned me into someone who wanted to wear makeup all the time. But in fact, what it ended up is as I just I can't bother to mess with makeup. I just don't put time in it. And I don't have any problem with makeup. It's just nothing that ever became part of my life. So I just don't. There was one makeup that I used to use because my father would only let us use Clinique. Again, this is the 80s. And they had a very liquidy, um, They had a foundation that I would wear, and I wore that until they discontinued it, and then they introduced a new product, and the problem is finding a foundation that comes in vampire. Because I am very, very pale, and most foundations are not. I'm very hard for me to find any foundation line that comes in a pale enough color without it being white, to work without having to do 8 million things of blending, and I can't be bothered. It's just not something. Karen, I question whether or not, what they say, Karen, bon voyage. I would never be brave enough to go on a trip that big. There is a fine line between bravery and stupidity, and I'm not real sure where I'm walking right now, but I'm excited. And this is something my mother really, really wants to do. And so it's been on her bucket list. And so we're doing this thing. I know it is an incredible privilege that I am in a position to be able to take an entire month out of my life, that my husband can continue to work, and that my son is old enough to be a responsible enough to be here with my husband, and they're going to hold down the fort. I know it's an incredible privilege, and I'm going to embrace it and go buy some Dramamine because I've never been on a boat for any length of time like this. I don't know if it's going to make me sick. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, Clinique is great. Clinique is absolutely great. Um, maybe for your mother, but she'd rather be crafting too. You know, I think I've mentioned this before. My mom categorically refuses to learn how to knit. And she said the reason why she won't learn how to knit is because if she learns how to knit, she knows I'll put her to work knitting samples. And she's not going to do that. She's like, nope, not going to do it. So she's nausea bands for your wrists. I'm going to write that down. Thank you. I'm going to Google that in no time. My mom is amazing. Um, Ginger, yes, I love Ginger. My mom is absolutely amazing. She is, if you guys go and look at, hang on. Let me, dun, 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 dun. Here we go. If you go and look at this, oh my gosh. There we go. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. So I gave you a link to our guy Renetta, the pattern, and if you scroll down, you'll see a picture of her in a black dress. This is my mother. She has modeled several of my pieces. The picture of her, the black dress, you can see actually on her leg a little bit of the tattoo that we both have. But she is sassy. She's in the designated sassy area. She is an amazing, amazing person. And I am honored to know her. Oh, Lindsay has notes for me on Slack. Thank you. Thank you, Christine. I have been just run around in circles, and not paying attention to a lot of stuff. I'm getting very distracted. She is a absolute she's fun, actually, and what's really funny is her 2 best friends have told her that they have a bet onto how long we're gonna go without getting into a fight. So she's got great friends too. I've been on a big trip with her once before. Hopefully we will be able to be adults. Luckily, she drinks. I don't drink, but my mom is a beer drinker. So luckily she drinks. So hopefully that'll help her deal with me. And it's a big boat. I'm sure we can find space. I'm sure we can find a space. Okay, let's see. Okay. Yeah. Do do do. I'm just having fun looking at my mom, those pictures. Sometimes I can con her into taking pictures, sometimes I can't. Depends on her mood. Okay. Thank you all very much for joining me once again for our Thursday night live. Again, sporadic through the month of October. I mean, no, November. But then I will be back in December. We will probably have an end of year live. At the end. It depend. You know what? Let's hang on. Let's look at when December, the last Thursday of December is. Um, it's a 28th, so that should be far enough away from uh Christmas that people might be available. So yeah, we will probably do a live in December. Obviously, won't be able to be doing one in November. I appreciate. Hey, Arlene, I didn't see you. I appreciate all of y'all for joining me. Thank you so much. Think of me. Keep your fingers crossed. Hope my mom and I aren't killing each other. And I will see you soon. And again, thank you so much. Happy knitting. You guys do so much fun stuff in November and then come back and tell me all about it in December. Okay. Insect repellent. Oh my gosh, people keep telling me things that I never even thought of. Insect repellent. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm going to write that down. Okay, I got to get off before I have to write more things down. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Elizabeth Davis, Philpott Davis, Kelly. Thank you all so very much. I will see you soon. Okay, pushing the button. And